Investigating climate change. We use in BC Tomorrow temperature and precipitation to investigate climate change. If you want to look and see what the potential for climate change is, you can either create a new scenario or load an existing scenario. Most of the lessons in the teacher resource section have a pattern where the learners or the students are guided to go back in time and see what temperature and precipitation patterns there were, and then look into the future. So to go back in time, you don't have to do this. You can just start from now and go forward, but if you want to go back in time, choose your watershed, or choose drainage basin, down to the watershed, and you can go right to the sub-watershed if you want. I'm going to stop here. We're going to look at the historic scenario. We want to investigate temperature and precip. We want to look back and see what the temperature and precipitation patterns were, and then move into the future and see if those trends are continuing or if they've changed. What we're looking for here is temperature and precipitation. So down here in the graph, you can see the values for precipitation and temperature. And so these are for the whole study area, averaged year by year. And so there's some data, and it's showing a pattern. The precipitation for the whole study area has been averaged, and over here we can actually look and see what's happening. To look at temperature and precipitation data, go up to this purple hat, and let's look at temperature first. Click on the temperature. There's the key that shows the colors. Each one, if we zoom in, you can see a little square. Each one of these little squares has, if you can imagine somebody having a thermometer here and measuring temperature every single day in that square, then that gets averaged for the whole year. And so what we're looking at here is the average temperature for the region at the different heights back in 1910, and year by year changes according to these colors occur. Are there any patterns? You can see areas of high relief, so mountainous regions, the low-lying valleys and rivers, streams, the plateaus. Are we seeing a pattern? Are we seeing a trend? Do we see some colors appearing more often as the years go by? So this is what we're looking at for historic temperature. To go to precipitation and see if there's been a precipitation change. Same thing. There's the key. There's the values. The little squares have averaged precipitation data for the whole year, and we can go back in time 100 years and see if there's any pattern, if there's any changes, if there's any trends appearing, and that takes us from 1910 to 2020. Going into the future, we can create a new scenario, and the business as usual takes us to the future. So same thing. Choose your same study area, and we're going to go into the future. Temperature and precipitation. This time you choose climate change, so median. Run the scenario, and see what the patterns are, or the changes, or the colors. Once it's finished loading, up to the purple hat, choose the temperature base map, and look and see if there's a change in temperature patterns. Notice the squares, that's how the data has been collected. I'm not going to do this quest right away. Okay, look at are some colors appearing more often than not? Look at the plateaus, so the high plateau areas, the valley bottoms, the mountainous regions, the areas of high relief, glaciated areas and landscapes. So there's the temperature data. Over here we have the temperature values throughout the year. You can look at each year. On to the precipitation. What are the precipitation trends, patterns? Are there any changes appearing? Do some colors appear more often than not? There's the areas of high relief again in the mountainous areas, low-lying valleys, rivers, streams, and lakes. And once again over here we look at the precipitation graph for the whole study area. Here we have the last option, the last base map is the land use. And as the simulator scrolls, you can see the different colors changing. What are we seeing here? We're seeing yellow take the place of green. What does that mean? Yellow is grassland and green is either forest or wetland. So the darker green is forest and the lighter green is wetland. And so looks like we have some predicted changes happening in the type of landscape type. And so here is and you can also include climate change if you want to do your own land use plan. So when you're making your own plan in the future and you want to create your own plan, once again, use the selected watershed. Here we're going to set your goals, and so you're going to set your indicator goals and your socioeconomic indicator goals. Click next, and once you've got that done, you can make some changes and you can decide to include climate change as part of your scenario.